Hey, what's up, everyone? So today I wanted to tell a scary story from, well, I guess it was from about my childhood, but from last summer. I think, yeah, I think it was last summer, maybe 2 summers ago. No, it was last summer. Okay, so I went down to visit my mom she's in Oregon, and there, her friend has like this cabin on her property that we stayed at because we don't want to like spend money on a hotel. And so we were staying in this little cabin, and it was really nice, but I just got done watching Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, and that show, like, there's like a part where, not really spoilers, I guess, but there's a part where like it flashes from like a nice like mansion or house or whatever, and then it like pops into it, and it's all like old and broken down and like decrepit and dirty and stuff, and then it goes back to being nice again, I think. I don't know, but I was sitting there and I was having this weird like feeling like what if the cabin we're sitting in like is actually like a broken down cabin, and there's like dirt and rats everywhere, and just in my head I'm like imagining that it's like really nice. And I was like, what if I'm like actually going crazy right now? Like my mom's not here and I'm just alone sitting in this cabin, like a broken down cabin in the middle of nowhere. And so I started getting kind of weird. And so I was like, let's go outside, because it was really nice because we could look at stars. And I'm like up in the city now and I don't really see stars all the time. And so it's kind of nice to just like sit on the porch and look at stars. And then we were just talking about things from my childhood. And I mentioned how I was like, didn't you have me tested for ADD or something? Because I threw tantrums a lot. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't ADD. It was for something. And then she's like, yeah, we brought you to the doctor because we thought you had like behavioral problems like that. But it turns out I was just kind of a bratty kid. But I was like, yeah, I remember that test. Like when I was like strapped down and I had all those like electrodes on me, like on my head, and I was like on that like metal table, and you guys like had me all like electrodes all over me to like measure whatever. And then she's like, no, that was like the sleep test that we had to do for you later on, like she's like, from all your nightmares that you had. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, your older brother, he had like night terrors. Like he would like wake up and like just be screaming, and like you could calm him down because he knew why. He knew it was just like a bad dream once he realized that he's like fine. And then she said at some point I just started like having terrible dreams. Like every now and then I would just start crying, and she said I was inconsolable, and she's like, you couldn't tell us why you were crying, and like what you were so scared of. And she's like, we couldn't calm you down, so we thought it was something to do with like your brain maybe, and like we want to make sure you're okay. And I was like, what? I was like, because like I kind of remember the test, but then the more and more like it was like if the screen was just focusing on my head being locked down on that like the gurney or whatever, the metal table, and then like slowly as I'm remembering, it's like panning out to where I'm like seeing more details about like the room and stuff and who's in there. And I was like, yeah, I do kind of remember that. And I was like, because like now I'll say like maybe every 6 months, maybe sometimes maybe a year, like I'll go through a span of like a week or a few days or something where I just have really terrible like lucid dreams, and it's like really scary. But I don't know, it doesn't happen like as much, like it doesn't happen that much, so I don't really care that I can just deal with it. And then she's like, yeah, you just cry and just be like shaking, and like we didn't know why, like what you were scared of. And she like mentioned this apartment that we lived in when I was little, and I had this memory of, she was like, yeah, we were out, it was like her and her friend were out in the living room like watching a movie or something, and I just started screaming and crying. And then she said that she ran in there to see what was wrong, and she said I was just sitting there, and she like sat next to me, and she was like consoling me, like rocking me and stuff. And I was probably like 6 maybe, or 7, I'm not sure, but I was like young. And she said she was just sitting with me on the edge of the bed rocking, and and she just kept asking me like, what's wrong, what scared you? And I just kept saying, nothing, I don't know, I don't know what it was, And I remember that moment, and when I remembered that moment more, I started remembering like the feeling I had. Like I think there's nothing specific, But like in that memory, it's like my closet was like the whole wall of closet, and it had like the sliding doors. And um in my head, like back then, I was imagining I I can't say now what I was scared of, but I know like to the very left wall inside the closet, there was a table, and I would keep my tub of I had this big blue tub of toys that I had, and I was always shoved under the table, and there's nothing on the table usually. And at that moment, like I remembered how I knew what I was scared of, and I knew why I was so scared at that, like when I was a kid back then, but I couldn't tell my mom, and I wasn't, like, I don't know if I wasn't allowed or if like I knew better than to tell her at that time, but whatever I was scared of was like in that corner. And I like, when I was like, flash forward to like that summer, that when my mom was telling me about like the sleep stuff, it got me so scared, because then throughout the rest of that trip, I stayed down there for like a week. I kept remembering just like other instances of being just waking up terrified of something, and I didn't have any other like realizations like, oh well, it's whatever was in the corner on that table. Like I didn't have any like specifics like that. I just have like instances of me just screaming and my mom coming in and like getting me, or like me walking out to her, like she's like cleaning or something, and I would just be crying and screaming, and I feel like I was dragging my blanket and like holding a stuffed animal. But yeah, I think that's really scary. Dreams are really weird. So what, I'm not saying there's like a demon in the corner. I'm saying like in my little kid head, I think I was dreaming, and then I woke up and the dream was like still going on in my head, but like in there, I don't know. Like I don't remember any of the dreams from back then. But yeah, it just gets kind of spooky. And then I just watched Haunting of Hill House, and that was still in my mind, and it was just a very creepy, and it's like out in the countryside, so there's like no lights or anything, and I think it was just like all the like emotion around it like made me remember that. But yeah, that was scary. So yeah, I don't know, I really like spooky things. I don't feel like I'm a spooky person, but it is spooky season, so I'll try and figure out more scary stories to tell, because like I enjoy that content. But yeah, I just don't really think I'm like a scary person, but I've probably had scary things happen. I'll try and like write it down. Okay, bye, see you tomorrow.